The Kevin MacLeod soundtrack in this is really good. It's pretty nice to just start the game up and just listen to the noir jazz sounds. I've been learning more about what noir means. It means whatever you want to mean. I'm not even kidding you. So the Wikipedia definition for it is like both vague and also very accurate too. It's a genre of crime film or fiction characterized by cynicism, fatalism, and moral ambiguity. But it also stands for things that are very stylized Hollywood crime dramas. The problem is that I feel like that fits in a lot of different media, like different genres. It feels almost like a characteristic of any genre out there. It doesn't even feel like a genre in and of itself. And yet, when you hear something that's noir, you recognize it as noir. And it sounds completely distinct from other types of it. So maybe I'm just uncultured and I don't understand. But I want you to know, I just found an Amazon listing for Noir the Complete Edition, which is apparently an anime, for $130, and people usually buy this in El Cazador de la Bruja. What? Why did this show up in the search results for Noir? You know what also showed up? Cowboy Bebop, that makes sense, and Ghost in the Shell, and The Boy and the Heron. Okay, listen, I don't know what noir is, okay? If The Boy and the Heron is a noir, then something's wrong. We just leave it at that, something's wrong. Listen, something's wrong. Last time we left off in The Roottrees Are Dead, which is this game, we were doing some very fun things. One, we found out some very, very key bits of detail. The biggest one is that, wow, my mouse cursor is massive. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, I'm old. I'm actually almost 30 now. So my mouse cursor, you can set the size of your mouse cursor in Windows to a larger or smaller amount. I set my mouse cursor to like 3 times size, so it's kind of massive. It's actually huge. Oh my god. It's great for streaming though. Anyways, we found out some really interesting things. We got a much bigger idea of what EC's problem was, why he was considered evil, and I think on some level we now understand that he's not really evil. I think on some level we stumbled upon the story of a family that was torn apart by, old school homophobia, right? Because presumably the evil twin of EC that took in Samantha and did all this was his only crime was just being gay. And that's not really that's not a crime at all. Your cursor is on top of my cursor. that's good. Oh, that's really good. That's good. This is what I missed, right? I will say Lunar New Year was a great time. Cursor is touching. I will say Lunar New Year was a great time with family, but sometimes I just miss the absurdity of this. The absurdity of whatever chat just comes up with, whatever just thought enters their brain. Oh, where'd I save it? Here we go. My cursor is on top of your cursor. Blushing emoji. Oh man. Last time we played this too, we also found out that the game near the end, it devolves into a series of just match up all the clues that you have together. And also we found out that the baby is the key to everything. So the baby, once we figure out the baby, I think we solve everything, because the baby has the one name that is a bit confusing, because depending on the baby's name, it then determines everyone else's name and what names we have available for these last two characters, as well as the photos. Getting rid of the baby photo would really help me a lot. What's interesting is that at the end, the game also gets a lot harder in the sense of you must get, I think 6 correct before it really cycles over. And what's fascinating is that there's not that many clues left, right? You get some clues that I think are recontextualized. So when I ended the game last time, like a week ago, and I went to bed, basically, what I felt was this. There was one single note somewhere here, I think, where it was a letter from Patricia to her husband, or to her lover, Clark. Yeah, here we go. From Lauren's diary, right? No, no. It was a letter. It was a love letter from them. Between them, where Patricia was bemoaning the evilness of EC. And I want to reread that because I'm pretty sure that when they said evil, the context of it probably is leaning into the homophobia angle. Now, if I can't find it. Or at least some angle of that sort. I really don't know. It's really hard to tell if it's like criticizing the way that people used to think, or if he actually did do something awful, right? It's really hard. But it also contextualizes things. Let's say they were suing EC, and that's why and then that's why EC is no longer a part of the trust, right? Then these two are homophobic, but then it's like, what does that mean for all of this too? Like it's very, like, depending on how things play out, a lot of people in this family could end up being awful or really good. Like, we may see some redemptions, and we may see some very, very strong condemnations of sorts. There we go. Patricia, who's been sent to live in the possession of your brother's twisted twin. So this was Eli Jr. and Patricia. Patricia saying Samantha had to go live with EC's or Clancy Edwards' twisted twin, EC. Left as an outcast, forced for a life of labor under a wicked relative. It's like something from a children's fable. She deserves not the life he has been sentenced to. I can't stand to be apart from you both. I will fight for a child's freedom. It's weird that they mentioned this idea of freedom of some sort. So again, a lot of these characters will eventually probably be worse. Wow. This person was provided to you by the mysterious person who showed up at your door. You need to fill in the family tree. Eloise. There's also this idea of who is November, because November Studio is also its own different thing. And at the back of the family photo, there's one on that family photo. There's like one more photo. 2 on the back of the photo was written the word November. And actually, think about it. Maybe there's a secret child somewhere. I'm not sure. Kellogg Bethany. Is she not a student? She should be a student. Maybe she's a kid at 12, actually. Maybe she's just in high school. But we have a bunch of names here. Mind you, these names are interesting too, because I feel like most of these names we have already from the search dropdown. So it's kind of odd to have these here. But Rafferty Chris. But there is one thing up here. Eloise, question mark, which makes sense. Because she's over here. And she's like an unknown person. That makes sense. She doesn't really have a last name. Anderson Gwyneth. Franks Danielle. Wait, maybe it's Eloise November? No way, right? Also, I turned off the green screen. November Studio. Does this... Did they keep... Oh, it kept all of my search history too. Wow, this is a great system. I also wanted to go through and actually re-examine all of the evidence that we had, because I'm fairly certain we missed some key articles, like Teen Pop. Sorry, I don't know, like the idea of, I don't know, I just didn't really realize that Teen Pop was a real thing. Penelope. Tessa Green. DCB, TSM, right. Ron. Rain. Roottrees. Reina? Is her name Reina? Was on the cover of Team Blast. You had the cover an article. Yeah, okay. What about the sisters? I've actually searched the sisters themselves. Oh, I bet you Kellogg David the Fourth. David Kellogg is on here. David Kellogg. Okay, well, we need to go through all of the clues again. So we've been going through each of these. CM is interesting because this initial, with his list of names, we can probably find out who is CM and thus who wrote that letter. Maybe. CM. Okay, well, that's all the C's that are women, so it's not a woman who messages them. Nor is it a man. Maybe CM is like a backwards thing. So it's like, oh, it's last name. Okay, so I need to look for C on the right side. Okay, M on the left side. It could have been Carolyn. Carolyn Morden. Wait, who's Carolyn? MC. MC. It could be, yeah, it's probably MC, yeah. Wait. Carolyn Morden endorsing Stefan. Oh, this makes sense. I'm so stupid. Oh, okay, well that solves that mystery. So What? Wait. Stephanie may have grown up in an unconventional family, to say the least. Oh, that's an interesting wording. But in her words, it was still full of love. And now, 22 years later, with a baby of her own due around Christmas, her message for Phyllis. Carl, I know we don't see eye to eye when it comes to Candycon, but you can talk to your girls about putting out statements supporting Stephanie. She could use the publicity your daughters bring. Don't let our conflict spread to the next generation. Okay. I think I'm on the money with it being, whatchamacallit? Well, whatchamacallit? My brain isn't working. Sorry, it's my my throat demonstrating. The reason I'm pretty sure it's about homophobia. I'm pretty sure it's about this family being homophobic and racist. We know this because of hints and references to the way that the family sort of thought of their rebellious years as the time when they came home with like a colored person, which is like, you know, like, and like in their own words, like that was what they were implying in those old letters in this game, right? Like in their own words, right? And so it's like, okay, well, that doesn't really like, it's not a rebellious thing to, you know what I mean? Like but that's the time period that this is in. And if it makes sense, like her and Carl are within the same time period. That's why she's probably telling him, listen, look past it. I may be with a woman now, and she may be dating a black dude. But listen, we shouldn't let our children suffer the same fate, and we should move on and learn how to actually be better people. That's why she was imploring Carl to like not do that. Sadly, Carl, I think, probably stuck to his own ways. Why does it still say one? Why does it still say one here? Atlantis' burden. Art and the beauty of woman. I feel like I've already done all of this now. Self-portrait. Art and the beauty of woman. The one does imply that it's still something here, right? So, the notables list, as you progress, these numbers will change. If a piece of evidence seems too good to be true, yep, often the most satisfying passage you thought was fully explored with a new perspective. You know what? Maybe there's something more involved in Carolyn that I can find. Because I will say, Carolyn... we haven't really fully figured out everything about her. And she's also one of the more interesting characters because she has a certain level of morals that seems very lacking in the rest of the family, let's say. Damn, she looks hot. All this time, and I'm trying to like espouse this idea of this world being like I'm like espousing all of her like moral sort of like high value in the sense of like she's a really good person type of thing, and the first thing I get is, damn, she looks hot. That's good. Oh, that was good. Look at the polygons. Yeah. Dr. Wilson, who she calls completely bogus. Their marriages led them to double down. She was even married. Roottrees companies affecting local environment. Her father, Zach. Art and the beauty of women. She explains the marriage to Mark led to the most volatile moments in her life, all negative. Mark Landon. I don't think there's gonna... Is there gonna be a Mark Landon somewhere? Mark Landon. Mark Landon. Bonnie Gwyn... You were just honest. You know what? You're right. I can't fault you for being honest. And I have said multiple times that some of these characters are hot. They are hot. Like, she's hot. I will say OG Gwendolyn is also very, very hot. I'm like, damn, that's hot. But again, it was just funny timing in the context of everything. Atlantis is buried in. Okay, Carolyn is a person. Mostly a listing of how she seems to get top billing. Right. Featured in a self-portrait. Symbolize a society slipped by indecision over whether women should be equals. There's something to protect. Yeah, so we know this. Why is this still considered evidence? How many clues are connected to a specific piece of evidence? So this still has a clue in it. Where? What's the clue? The statue? Atlantis is buried in. There's no way the statue is that thing, right? One of the many works. We have her book. We have Atlantis Burden. Art Expo. Oh, local art expo. Maybe art expo. Local Butler County. Butler County Art Expo. Maybe maybe that's it. Art Expo. Butler County Art Expo. Actually, that would also make sense why Stephanie knows Brian, because Brian has a print company. Like, he's like related to Art. He's like the long distant cousin of Art, because print people just kind of, you know, print stuff out, and like there's a science to it, and it's really nice, and it is a very artistic thing, but like, no one really cares about print. A video game called The Roottrees Were Dead. Yep. And it's supposed to be a local paper. Periodical. Yep. Butler County limits on the area. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe that's the number. It just means that there was something there. It's nothing else left there. But these are all done. What? Dynasty. How come this has a number? Right, Zach. I feel like we got all the pieces of evidence. But then this Clark thing has one too. This has a piece of evidence. What? What could be the evidence? My first published book, Swashbuckle My Heart. It's based on the pirate stories I used to invent with Jacob when we were walking in the woods after school. I think he'd be proud that Clark and I are carrying on his name. What? Who the hell is Jacob? Huh? Wait, who's Jacob? There's no Jacob in this. Who's Jacob? Jacob. Who the hell is Jacob? Wait, that's a whole new thing. Lauren Roottrees. No one really cares about printing. That's a sad part, right? Because like, you would think people would care more about the printing aspect of things. What's her original name? It was Lauren something. Because printing is important for the overall quality of things. Oh, Lauren Rafferty. Re-release as X marks the spot. Huh. Just got news. Your cat caught a third pigeon and your granny boiled it again. Granny's now in the hopes that the cat will catch them all so that they don't shit all the place. You know what's... It's just funny to me because I kind of forget that in places people eat pigeons. Like, in other places, like where I'm from, we see pigeons as like weird sky rats. And we just let them live and reproduce because we're just like, alright, well, I guess just have fun. Like, the skies are yours. It is funny to me that birds are not seen as like the normal pests that other animals are. Like, rats are not really normal. Like, we see rats as pests because they're on the ground with us, but birds in the sky, even if they poop on us, we're just like, well, it's a bird. Well, what am I gonna do? Oh, you didn't eat it. The cat did. Oh, I see. But also, it's bold of you to believe that you could ever get rid of all the birds. It feels impossible in a way. Before mechanical printers were really talented writers as an aesthetically. That is true. Yeah, when you had to like copy everything over before the printing press, yeah, it was important to be good at that act. Yeah, it is why they say the printing press was such a major invention, right? And why so much of our world changed because of it. Can you imagine writing like how SpongeBob did once? Yeah, that's the funny part, is that we've moved away from this idea of aesthetic writing, like handwriting in general. I think nowadays handwriting is relegated a lot to YouTube videos, like YouTube vlogs of join me on my calligraphy exercise. And so they pick up like a brush and a pen and they start writing something in calligraphy. Whereas back then it was a matter of life or death. Like like when you were writing your steamy love letter to your partner who was on the front trenches of the war, and you would write how you would gobble down their like Lizzie, right? And you had to write it with such eloquence and such a nice little flair on every single G, and like you would have to like end every sentence with a single cum drop, and you'd like, you know, place a hair inside of it, right? That was a whole different time from now. Pigeon meat is quite delicious. It's what I've heard. Like, pigeon meat does seem interesting in the sense of like the flavor, but and I do know that like they were traditionally raised as messengers as well as food sources, so like they were domesticated for a reason. But again, it's fascinating because at least from where I am, we don't even see them as pests. We just see them as just a weird bird in the sky that we just happen to have. And every year we see less and less. That's how it is. You don't care if she catches pigeons. Pigeon poop doesn't bother you much. As long as he catches all the mice, you're fine. True. For what good is a cat if it can't catch a single pigeon? What good is a cat if it can't catch a single pigeon? Revisiting the diary, one major event to the death of Elias. Maybe there's a 20 years later. Do you think there's a 20 years later to the diary too? Can I catch rats though? It is funny because like I've seen cats where some of them can't catch rats and other cats where they could catch rats. It seems like it's a bit of a hit or miss if your cat can catch a rat or a mouse. Anyways, who is Jason or Jacob? Jacob. Companion piece, 10-year re-release. Okay, this is not the one. Revisiting the diary. Here we go. Sam? No, this is the wrong book. This is the book. Chloe's getting married. Everyone's just bad. My brother's staying. Who is Jacob? Jacob. Danielle, John. After all, oh, that's Jacob. Jacob is her husband. Right, I see. That's why she wrote the books. Well, she wrote My Heart. And she invented stories with Jacob, her husband. She was inventing stories with her husband. Right. She's gotten so fat lately, she probably could. Pigeon meat is quite delicious. Wow, so she's been having a feast. Is it catches the rat, it brings it to you, and then... Yes, basically that. Yeah. Well, I've heard that the cats do that because they believe that you're a part of their colony. And so what they feel like is that you can't hunt the rat yourself. Because like cats... I've heard that the difference between dogs and cats is that dogs see us as their owner. Cats see us as their family. And so like cats will like try to feed us and take care of us because to them we're useless. Like we don't even like they see us at a computer desk and we've never caught a cat once. Yeah, it's like tribute or like feeding us, yeah. Rats are scary. They are terrifying. Yeah. No matter where you are, if there's a rat, it will bite you and eat your food. Yep. So true. Oh, she brings mice sometimes. Nice. Yeah, but sacrificial tribute is an interesting way to look at it. I've never really thought of that, but you are kind of correct in the sense of it is a little terrifying to think of it in that sense. Because it does feel a lot like... It feels a lot like the ways that you would hear how people would sacrifice some person in order to like give their blood over to stop a volcano from blowing up or something. Same deal, but the way that cats do it with like rats. Let me live here for one more year. Here is a cat. This is my rent. Okay, bye. Wait, Zach's not a bad present after all, and his sister seems to be doing a good job raising her twins. What? So Zach's sister had twins, right? So that's the twins, yeah. We know them as twins. Is that not Kellogg Bethany? I don't think that's well, I know that's Kellogg Bethany, but I don't think that photo is Kellogg Bethany. We need to go back to Clark Rafferty's art project. We need to go back to his art project. Because his art project tells us everything. Stephanie is an only child. I'm so stupid. Bethany's yearbook picture, Davy's younger sister, and Stephanie, who's an only child. So Davy swims, that's easy. Bethany's yearbook picture. Is this a yearbook picture? Or is this a yearbook picture? What do yearbook pictures usually look like? Because I never got a yearbook picture taken. I went straight into working. Because, like, I don't think they do, like, scenery shots for yearbook photos. I think this is a yearbook photo. You can condition cats into thinking you're the alpha by giving it snacks when you go out and return. Wait, really? I will say there's something funny about the fact that you could probably psyop cats and, like, steal them from people. Like, you could probably steal a cat constantly from another person by just going and, like, feeding them in some way. She should be a farmer. Jet black hair. I feel like the hair matches. The cat psyop. The cat just gets psyop constantly. Okay, maybe this Clark Rafferty. Clark. See? Fraud. Not everyone with the service makes a website, but you usually find it by searching for the screen name. Right. How about Rafferty? Chris Rafferty. Chris Rafferty, under construction, Go Tardens, Lulu, my wife Lulu, which is Lucia, Garcia Lucia. Yeah. There's an art collage named Cousins. We're gonna create art about the family. Davey, Bethany's yearbook photo, and Stephanie, who's an only child. Chris's artwork with Cousins thing. Yeah, okay, so we already did this. We have this, but I don't know which one is a yearbook photo. Oh, you know what? I would know because they have like this hair, no? Their eyes look similar. Yeah, I feel like her eyes look similar to her brother's. That's Bethany. But what does she do? Kellogg Bethany. Kellogg. Bethany Kellogg. Am I spelling that correct? Because for some reason, it's weird because Davey shows up. Yukon Davey Kellogg IV shows up fine. He's on the swim team, the Huskies. Like, for some reason, he shows up fine, but no one else. University of Connecticut. Okay, you know what? Let's just assume that's a dead end. Is there anything else here? Clearly, I did not sure in the no family history. Ernie Jr. has been learning the day-to-day from thing. Yeah. Hard to explain the look on Pop's face when he read the farm operation would pass to Samantha. She wouldn't get any candy money. Never met EC in person. And he was a confirmed bachelor. Pop, as in her father, said he was a confirmed bachelor. I suspect that's why he kept us from there. But she was lying to her, right? His roommate, Mr. Miller, John Miller. His gay lover, right? So, okay. Man, what am I missing? Like, what am I missing from these bits of evidence that would form this full picture? I think these photos are correct. Insofar as I think that's who it is. I need to figure out who is Madsen Gwyneth. Because I got Ernest Jr. Madsen. I need to figure out who is Morden Gwendolyn. I have no clue. And I don't even have an up-to-date photo of Carolyn. I actually think that's Carolyn. Maybe that's Carolyn. I don't know. Well, no. Maybe not. Let's just undo this. Let's undo everything. Only the bottom three do I really know. I know that's him. I don't even know his job, though. Oh, God. What's his job? What does Chris Rafferty do? Yeah, Roottrees curse. Yep, Mayan. Yep, okay, Ample. Ask him to take down the site with fake proof. Yoda claims that although the proof is credible, he had a heart condition wasn't poisoned. What does Chris Rafferty do now? Maybe we can search up in this. Butler County Times. Chris Rafferty. Teen Blast? Silver screen. I'm trying to teach a farmer to punch so hard it breaks damage numbers in Warframe. What? The only thing that I understood was Warframe. What do you mean you're teaching a farmer to punch so hard? Roottrees Casino. Oh god. We also never figured out Edward Roottrees. Like, I couldn't never figure out who is Edward Roottrees. Edward Roottrees. Maybe he has something here. Periodicals. Business Watch? Butler County Times? There must be some piece of evidence that we're just missing from these earlier bits that I never actually bothered to look. So we have TMS brother trouble. Learn from early age. Grandpa... What? My grandpa was a college professor who taught lectures about history. Raina talks about her inspirations. Who's her grandpa? It's Clancy Jr. Clancy Jr. Roottrees. Wait, Butler County University. Surely there must be a university here of some kind. Butler County University. University of Connecticut. Of Connecticut. Yukon. Did you reference something that I didn't understand again? Yeah, what does a farmer mean? Wait, no, but this actually tells me that, sorry, he's a professor. So he's a professor for sure. That's easy. Her grandfather is a professor of history. He was a college professor. Yeah, see, okay, so we just need to go back and look at the evidence and make sure that we actually see the evidence correctly. Yep, predicted the other people, made a Roottrees name, what colors and patterns. After my grandpa passed away earlier this year, Grandma Laura tells me she was old, so her name is Laura. And it was Laura Carlson. Okay, so that was easy. Yeah, we just go through each of these, step by step. Original creator, Teen Blast, yep. By Charles Lee. The Sweet History of Candy, Volume 1 by Charles Lee. Did I ever check this out? Charles Lee. This is a book. Oh yeah, and then I did Volume 2. Ancient Egyptians, newspaper. I did part of 2. Chronicled the rise of mass production as envisioned by the thing. They got everything wrong. Newspaper ad from the 5 pieces. And then he died. He died after making Volume 2. Yeah, please explain what the farmer thing means, because I have no clue what that means. Egg cream. Oh wait, no, it was number 2 at first, and then I went back to number 1 after. Right, it was number 2 that we found first. And then we went back to number 1 to get the print advertisements. Then this is why it had egg cream. Yeah, this was the one that we found first. Number 1 by Charles Lee, 1928. The Roottrees sisters and their parents died. Yep, quick test, no Roottrees. A photo from Carl's generation. WRTD radio. You know what? I don't know if I remember searching for this. Is your local investigative jazz radio station during the news segments at 45 minutes on the hour. They also have been talking about the plane crash. Picture taken from his thing, and promised an interview online with a psychologist. Pipes burst, likely someone close to the family who was aware of the photo's history. Psychologists, they have an alternate agenda, which we know what it is. Don't believe their lies. This is a Roottrees curse. Yep, okay, yeah. That's all conspiracy stuff. WRTD, we have locked space. Next time they're trying to give a partial explanation. It was personal to them. Boys and girls never agree on anything except for Roottrees. Yep, this is the 2 twins. We know this is the two twins. Both of them agree that the Roottrees is their favorite. Yep. Cherry Tree is an album by Jim and Diamond. One of the songs called Sun. And I think we got all the entire line. We know that his mother's name is Monroe for Joan for Stone. Edward is really the weird one. I don't know who Edward could possibly be. But if we have every name, maybe it's fine. We need to go to Tessa Green Penelope. What was the evidence that made me believe that Tessa Green Penelope was who she was? Like, why did I believe that her child was named Christina? Wait, I know why. Through deduction. Pure deduction. He's a Roottrees, so he can't marry a Roottrees because that's incest. And I don't think this family practices incest. This is the Madsen line, and this is the Gwendolyn line with the Morden line. We also know that this person's named Stephanie Kellogg, or Bethany Kellogg, as well as Catchful Stephanie, because she's the current head of the farm, right? Or maybe she's the head of the farm, I'm not really sure. But either way, we know that this all makes sense. Rafferty Chris is over there. Therefore, this is why this baby is named Roottrees Christina. Maybe it's November. Who is November Roottrees? Because even in the photo, wait, the photo was signed at the back in childish writing. November. In childish, so this child is named the November. That's November. I bet you November is over here. Student. I don't know, like a baby? I'm not sure. So that's November. Who's his wife? Bonnie, Carolyn, Gwyneth M, Gwendolyn, Miracle, Jim, Clark, Eli M. Quaritch, April. What? April Quaritch. What in God's name is that last name? Also, imagine living in a small town of like 10,000 people and you just marry inside that town constantly. That's like That's just weird, man. Like, it's people that you know. Like, really? You're just gonna keep marrying inside the people that you know from your life? I don't know if that's good. Which of me, of college student. Wait, maybe he's still a college student. He's probably still a college student. Wait, he got married in college? What? Why am I saying anything? I got married at like 22 or 23. The credits on the cover say guitarist as vocals Candy, bass Nikki, drums Nina. Floozies. Pediatrician to the stars, we know him. Maybe we don't know him. Maybe there's more that we can find out about him. No, but there's no more evidence here. That's done. Yep, this is done. No Roottrees. Yep, this is done. So growing up is so important. Yada yada yada. They're rich. We're so close to finishing this. Like, we actually have almost everything. We're so close. I just need to figure out who is this baby. What is the baby's? If I find the baby's name, it's over. I get the baby's name, it's over. Bro, I gotta find this. I have to find this baby. The raunchy breast milk cheese ad. You find a picture labeled Joko Lantern 1997. Breast milk baby. Happens every Halloween. Comics and patrons are encouraged to wear costumes. Every year we tell people not to heckle the comics, and someone always does it. Halloween. The Laugh Lounge. There was something about Ron Roottree getting married to her, but I don't think it ever talks about find some success, yada yada yada. I don't think it ever talked about like the children's names. I think it just said that they got married, so we don't really know the children's names. We just happen to know that they got married. Sorry, give me 1 second. Oh god, I wanted to figure out how to get all my hotkeys back too. Sorry, this is a problem. I'm gonna assume that this baby is just named Christina, right? JK, like just kidding, like a laugh, because she's a comedian, right? Because she's a comedian, so therefore it's like a just kidding, haha thing, because she's a comedian. I'm gonna assume that that's true, because I can't imagine what else this could be. So what is Roottree November? Because she should be old as shit. She's no longer a student. She's old as shit. Because she was Carl's age. So what happened to her? Wait, so if she's Carl's age, what does she do now for life? Secretary. You know what? She's a housewife. Every woman in this family ends up becoming a housewife. There's no such thing as like a successful woman back in the 1960s and 70s. Because all the success went to the men. It's just such a terrible time. So, okay, so I don't know if I placed all these photos. So this has all the photos that we need. Of the people that were there, who did we place? We placed Eli, and we placed Eli. We placed Eli in Miracle. That's done. He's the mechanic side of the family. That makes sense. We placed Madsen Ernest. We placed Clark. We placed Carl. We placed James. We placed Hudson, and we placed Guy. We placed Bonnie and then Guy. Why did they name him Guy? We got Bonnie, we got Guy. We got Ernie Jr., we got Carolyn. Do we have Carolyn? No, we do not. The only woman we found is Bonnie. There are 4 other women. 3 women, 1 girl in this photo. So of the woman, there's Carolyn, Gwyneth M, Gwendolyn, and November. November is the child. Carolyn, Gwyneth M, and Gwendolyn are these 3 women here. But November is the child. So Bonnie, we know. Gwyneth M, Gwendolyn, and Carolyn. Green Eyes Carolyn, 100% her. That's the exact same eyes. Right? That's the exact same eyes. She also wasn't wearing glasses. Gwendolyn, born Gwendolyn, and then Gwyneth M. Yeah, so Gwyneth M and then Gwendolyn. So Gwyneth M, she should have like black hair, green eyes. No? Were they all farmers? There's no way that they're all farmers, right? That seems awful. No way you're a housewife though. Like this is the farming family. This is the farming family. So it's one of these three women. All it takes is just pressing a couple buttons and hoping that things are correct. Okay, so we got him. Okay, good. So he's a student in college. Okay, that's fancy. We got the baby. I knew it. As soon as we get the baby, it's over. We're so close. We have like 5 more people. This makes it easy. All right. So of all the photos, this is November, which is his child over here. He's married to Quaritch, which makes sense. Professor's over there. She's not a housewife. I don't know what she is, but she's Carl's age. She's Carl's age, so she does something. I don't know what she does. November Studios dancer. She's a dancer. Because November Studios does the choreography for that event. Right. That's another picture of Reina. Catral Stephanie is the current... Well, no. I don't know. Is that Morton? Dog, they look nothing alike. There's no way. There's actually no way. I'd be more inclined to believe this. Why did they make her a nurse? Because he's a pediatrician. So I was like, maybe she's a nurse. These two are wrong. Okay. I don't think it's her. I think it's her, and she's the student in K-12. And I think she's her, and she's a student in college. But then they look nothing alike. But then again, it's like, maybe the green eyes recessive, maybe they don't continue. Maybe green eyes don't even matter at some point. It's hard to tell. Hard to tell. We know that's Deborah Bean. It's a funny name. But the green eyes maybe came back for one generation. Okay, we need to confirm Gwendolyn Morton. And the only way to do that is to do Pediatrician to the Stars. But we have most of their stuff. This is for sure. If that's the sister and that's the sister, I think it makes sense the way that it's positioned. She's over here with the green eyes. We defined her role in life. Well, actually, if it said that she basically became just something for her husband, then maybe her job is just housewife now. So maybe this was correct before. Oops, wrong photo. Maybe it was fine before. Like, this is the only... These are the last bits of information. I should just shuffle them around until things work. You're a farmer. Go back to farming child. Go back to the farm child. There was something about the Anderson Farms, actually. Anderson Farms. Anderson Farm. Anderson. Maples. The Butler County Times has had consistent ads for tours and demonstrations at the first Anderson Maple Farm. First Anderson Maple Farm. You find that photo was added to your evidence. Yep, was Gwyneth Anderson. Yep, we know about this. 5 pieces. Yep. And she's a housewife. Yep. Okay, seems each summer, Mrs. Cattrall returns to Butler County to demonstrate. The current head of farming, Mrs. Cattrall, which would be Cattrall Stephanie, so she is a farmer. What? Or maybe she's the farmer, and so her child is still in school. I'm going to assume that her child is still in school, because he got a photo and he's a student college, and she's in middle school, so she's still a student. This makes sense because the older one's over here, the younger one's over here. So I think the kids are correct. She might just be a college student now. Like, she might just be entering college. Do you do yearbook? I think you do yearbook every single year until you're into college. So maybe that's not... Maybe that's fine. So what is November? We know that November Studios was based off of Brian Jones. Mrs. Cattrall is probably Gwyneth Cattrall. Because she returns to Butler County twice a year. And then they do a demonstration there. Brian Jones... Or search for this online. I made the website myself. Jones Graphic and Print. This is where you get to the November Studios choreography thing. We know that they're a dance studio, so it makes sense that she's a dancer. But then the problem is, like, do you consider her to be a dancer? Or do you consider her to be a CEO? Stephanie Jones campaign. Oh, did I ever search that? Stephanie Jones campaign? Most recent, Stephanie Jones, born Stephanie Landon. Yep. Local artist. Yep. Deforestation. Who cares? Butler County Theater, Butler Summer Theater. Butler Summer Theater. November Studios. Choreography by November Studios. And you can't find this anywhere. Like, you go search November Studios. A local dance school. So she's for sure a dancer. That's November for sure, because that was a child. That's Edward's child, which makes sense why she runs her own company. Maybe she's a CEO. Or a director? No, it's not director of a company. It's a dancer. Choreographer? How am I possibly wrong on any of these? What is your job? Stupid. Wilson, Stevens. What? Steven Wilson's. What is her job? Like, what could you possibly do? Your husband is a doctor. What do you do? Are you a doctor too? A lot of Steven Wilsons. This one apparently found in the case. Pediatrician to stars. This is a quote, though credit to the shot, Jason, you expect night might not be written. Right, pediatrician to the stars. Yeah, north of Pittsburgh. We'll do this. It's Dr. Steven Wilson out of Warrendale, which is somewhere between. How about... Maybe she's also a doctor. I mean, I genuinely don't know what job she could have possibly had. But we just need to figure out these last four, and I feel like I'm there. They have the same eyes. I assume siblings have the same eyes. She has the same nose and chin, kind of. Well, not the same chin. And then this child is for sure still in school because she's a student. Like, these two are the same age, basically. Probably. Yes, because he made this in like last year. This whole collage. So November is now like a fully grown person? I'm not sure. Because third cousins means anywhere in these lines. He made the product based on third cousins. This is first cousins. Wait, what's third, first, third, second cousin? Does anybody know how cousins work? Second cousins, people that share the same great-grandparents, but not the great-grandparents. Go back to Chris Rafferty. God. I thought I figured it out. I was thinking to myself, there's no way I don't know what's going on. But I'm realizing maybe I failed to... Maybe I failed... Like, I definitely underestimated or overestimated my ability to beat this. You found a picture labeled "The clock goes in the department store." Yeah. I definitely overestimated my ability to do this. Okay. Use only my third cousins. Share the same great-grandparents. Okay, but not the same great-grandparents. So, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, but not the same great-grandparents. So no one here, anybody here. So that's for sure. This is for sure. What is your job? You know what? That has to be you then. Oh, you know what? That is her because of the curly hair. I'm so stupid. It's because she has curly hair. So her life got awful. Let's say housewife. Oh god, finally. Oh Jesus, we're actually done. Okay, wait, so now now I get to finally see if we actually finished and figured out the entire plotline. Like, is it actually a story about homophobia? Is it a story about how the times of this place are so... is it a story about how society back then was so awful that it ended up ostracizing an entire member of the family just because of who they were? And seeing this and sort of like this implication that Carl would carry on these like problems, right? Knowing that attitude sort of carried through at least all the way until the current generation, which still is in 1986. I know some people from the 1980s and 1990s. They're still pretty like close-minded, yeah? Top secret.
To my genealogy genie. If you're reading this, it means you've locked in 49 blood relatives.
Blood for the blood god.
Congratulations. I knew you could do it. There are 2 more entries on the family tree I'd like you to consider. These last 2 are optional. You can summon me whenever you wish. However, this will end your search and reveal the truth. So make sure you're ready.
I can summon her whenever I wish. I know who these 2 are. Who is EC? And who is the spouse? Now, I know this because I know exactly what's going on. He's a farmhand, and he's this guy. He was the guy all the way in the back. Why was he relegated to a farmhand? Because of his partner, John Miller and Edward Clancy Roottree. They were forced to adopt because they were gay, and the family didn't like gay people. Right? What happened? Is it backwards? Fuck! These 2 are optional and won't lock in until you say I'm ready. Oh, what? You can summon me. This will end your search and reveal the truth, so make sure that you're ready. You know what? I know for sure it's them. So I'm pretty sure that's correct. So if I look at the mystery and I go all the way down to the bottom, I know for sure that EC was put back for some reason because they thought he was evil. And then they said that there was some great, terrible thing that they did to him. And they were trying to cut off this side of the family. So actually maybe Ronald and Robert did kill Carl. I'm not really sure. So one of them wanted to kill Carl, that CM alluded to, which was Carolyn Morden. I don't know. I really don't know if any of my theories are correct. But what was his name? Something Miller. Partner Miller. Why in God's name did I write it all in one note? Oh man, Aloysius, no, Miller, Eli M. Miracle Eli is his brother to the asshole. Yeah. Roottrees vs. RR. Roommate Mr. Miller. It's hard to explain the look on Pop's face. What? Samantha Roottree. Mother reframed it a bit. EC in person. His roommate, Mr. Miller. Why did I say John? John? Why did I say John Miller? Where did I get the name John from? I don't care anymore, okay? We're gonna do Edward Clancy, EC Roottree. We're gonna do John Miller. The reason why they were relegated here is because, for some reason, the family decided that gay people weren't allowed to exist because it was like the 1940s, right? And we know that this family has issues because they say that their rebellious period was when they would bring home someone who wasn't white. Like, they would just bring home somebody who wasn't white, and so that's their rebellious period. In fact, of all the people, Lauren talks about it in her diaries, that time period. So when that happened, she was very surprised that Patricia and Elias weren't allowed to be together, considering they had done, quote-unquote, more rebellious things. Which, again, is kind of a weird thing to say when you consider that love has no boundaries, okay? But then it sort of plays into this idea of, okay, clearly everything above this line is probably closed-minded in some way. The next line down, let's say this generation, the free spirits, not so much. Interestingly, Carolyn Morden, CM, who wrote to Carl Roottree asking them to put their differences aside and to not let their problems carry on into the new generation, said that specifically in reference to sponsoring Landon Stephanie, who for some reason the game points out that she's married to a black dude. Okay, why does the game do this? Because it's showing that in many ways a lot of these, like, you know, closed off mindsets are carried down throughout the family tree, and that, you know, the ideas have perpetuated downwards to the children of these, you know, the matriarchs and the patriarchs, right? So presuming that that's all the case, it makes sense why Clancy Edwards said he's glad that that girl was gone, and he was also glad that, you know, his and why he probably never mentioned his brother and how they confirmed that he was a bachelor, because they didn't believe in it at the time. They didn't believe that you could be married to another dude. And it also explains why Gwyneth decided to bring Patricia and Samantha back into it, and why she gave her the farm, because Gwyneth, a woman in the family, knows that the women get nothing. In fact, her entire life from the very beginning was a life of having nothing. She was forced, simply by tradition of her family, of being the eldest woman in her family, in a family of no other men, to give away her family farm. Because as a woman, she wasn't allowed to keep it. She was relegated to being a housewife. So carrying on this trend all the way down here, we see why Gwendolyn probably, because of that meeting where Lauren brings up how come Gwendolyn couldn't be the new CEO, and it was passed on to Zach, her son, as well as her son, that makes her go, okay, well, maybe this is bad. And then that's probably why it sort of like spread down here, and why eventually all these people sort of had that same mindset of like, this isn't good. Like this to me feels like the part of the family that is very much aware of the injustices that have been going on in their larger family, and see the results of it because of their, you know, their family matriarch having effectively been cut off from it all because of that. This side, I don't really know about the Bonnie side, but you know, the idea of them basically, you know, relegating themselves back to being housewives probably says that they don't really care, but I don't really know. However, you can see it in Bethany's photo. She actually does care. So maybe I want to say the entire left side of the family does care about this idea of, you know, that split between the men and the women in the family, from tradition and sort of like biases to what it means to be human, right? Dichotomy. Dichotomate. Okay, so maybe this makes sense. Which means that these three were racist. Okay, now it paints a much more terrifying picture. If I'm correct, in a way, these three were accidentally racist because Carl probably kept telling them not to, right? Or like sexist or whatever, right? To some degree. But then who did they sue? Like, still I'm confused of who they sued, right? We won't know until we lock it in. But if they sued the long lost twin brother, then Ronald and Robert are assholes. If they sued Clancy Edward, and by extension, probably actually no, but by this time, if they sued Carl, then they're pretty good. But then this also explains why they're in this separate box where they're basically on their own. I hope I'm correct. Roottrees, Edward Clancy, Miller, John. I hope it recognizes the writing of that. I really hope so. Please. Here's the final option entries you found. What? None? Don't booyah me. What the fuck, dude? I wrote it in the same goddamn format as the rest of the game. Last name first and the first name, you motherfuckers. No! His name isn't John!
So, you thought EC was Edward Clancy Roottree, and his partner was John Miller?
Was I not correct?
That's exactly what I needed to hear.
Was I not correct? How come only one of them was colored in?
I'm Sam Madsen.
Yeah.
Though you know me as Samantha Roottree.
Yes.
Yep.
I didn't expect that, actually.
The only picture you have of me is from 40 years ago.
I thought that was... Okay, I thought she was going to be Carolyn Morden. But it makes sense that she's Sam because the top secret thing folder was in her way. But the game said I got no optional entries complete, and yet it colored in Edward Clancy, and then I wrote in John Miller, and it didn't accept John Miller. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
My book tells the truth about Elias, the 5 pieces, and my parents.
Yes, and how homophobic and racist they were, right? And how about all those bad times, and also sexist, because all women were relegated to be housewives, except for you dirty, disgusting, out of wedlock child. You are a farmer. Wait. So they did something to harm the family. They were born out of wedlock. She's the only one who was born out of wedlock. Wait, Robert and Ronald are assholes. Because Robert and Ronald sued her. What? And so, oh my god. Robert and... No, but it doesn't make any sense. She wasn't part of the trust. No.
Not my biological parents, Elias Jr. and Patsy. My fathers. Edward Clancy Roottree and John Miller.
Okay, I don't care about them anymore, alright? I care about Ron and Robert. Tell me who they sued.
By now, you've either read Lauren's diaries, or you're just an incredible guesser.
I mean, John is a very generic name. I feel like of all the names to use, John is the one name you shouldn't use. It's like John Doomguy or something. It just doesn't really make sense.
Lauren was right. I hated the 5 pieces. She just didn't know my full reasoning.
Yep. Wait. But even so, she seems to blame more than just 2 of them. She has no problem with us next gens, but she has a palpable hatred for the 5 pieces and Elias. I don't remember Did I get that? I don't know if I got that.
My father, Edward Clancy, was a great man. But his identical twin Clancy and his father, Elias, were not.
Yes.
At age 16, my father was caught kissing a farmhand.
Oh, I never met EC in person, but Pop, who was Clancy Edward, confirmed that EC was a confirmed bachelor. Am I misunderstanding what the term bachelor means? Like, what does it mean to be a bachelor? Bachelor. God, not the TV show. Get the fuck out of here. You're polluting my search results. A man who is not and has never been married. Caught kissing? 2 men caught kissing? Oh, scandalous.
Back then, they wouldn't even acknowledge gay people existed.
Yeah, true.
Having one in the family was unthinkable.
It was like, what, the 1940s? Like, it was, again, like, it's fascinating to think about, but when you put it into absolute numbers, you realize how much the world has changed in many different ways, right? For the better, and for the worse in other ways. But at least for the better, that we recognize that, like, people are people, no matter what their orientation, who they are, and who they want to be, right? It's why all these ideas of, like, you know, like, say even, like, being trans in general, right, is, like, now much more accepted than it was before. It's because now we sort of evolved our mindset and realized it doesn't really matter who you are, because you're still human in the end, and so you should be allowed to be who you are because it matters to you. And if it matters to you, then that's reason enough to respect that and to, like, appreciate that, right? Doesn't that mean a free man to be a bachelor? It's a joke, please. No, it's okay. And so it's like, but then, like, putting it into absolute numbers, right? You're going from, like, 1940s till now. I always think about this, and it always kind of blows my mind. Let's say 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. It's only been 85 years. Like, some people have grandparents that are, like, 80 years old that are still alive. Like, I want you to really think about it. It's only been about 3 to 4 generations ago, and the world has changed so much, and yet we're still, in many ways, still very close-minded and still almost sort of, like, ultra hyper violent in many different ways too. Like, very ultra aggressive too. It's a very odd thing to think about, that we've come so far, but we've barely progressed at all too. So whenever I think of people when they say I wish we lived in less interesting times, in my head I always think, like, we've always been living in interesting times, because this time period in particular is the most interesting. It is absolutely unprecedented in all of human history. Yeah, like your great grandma was 10 years old when Hitler came to, like, power. Yeah, exactly. And she was alive, probably. I mean, she's probably still alive now, but she was alive at some point in your life. And she was there when Hitler was in power, and then there when he fell. Like, my parents, you know, my grandparents, when they were still alive, I could ask my grandma about shit that happened back then. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember being forced from our homes. I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy. She is, yeah, exactly. Like, it's not that long ago, you know? So when you think to yourself, you want to live in less interesting times, think to yourself, you have the opportunity to make the world better now, right? Don't don't give up, because we are in the most interesting time. We're in an unprecedented time where I can talk to you and you can talk to me, and you're from anywhere in the world living an entirely different life from me. We have so many different contexts, and we're now, just for the first time in human history, sharing this information in real time over the internet. Like, it's fascinating to me. It's like the time to want to push and to really sort of take parts in the interesting parts of the current time in order to make the world better. This is the time to step up if you want to make the world better. The moment. Isn't that amazing? It is. Yeah, it's very fascinating. And honestly, you know, it's just fascinating to think of how much opportunity we still have to make the world better, and how much opportunity we have to sort of like step out there and make something of ourselves, right? It's just, I think for a lot of us, we seem to believe that the world is done. It's set in stone now. There's no way it can never get better. But the truth is, it's still malleable. It's incredibly malleable. And if we sort of take a foot off the pedal, it's only going to get worse. So we have to keep on trying to keep pushing us forward, right? The car of progress forward. The world is ending. I love how I try to give this like very, very emotional speech about how we have the power to make the world better, and Chad goes, "The world is ending."
The same year, I was born. A bastard granddaughter.
Bastard.
2 stains on Elias's perfect family. He decided to fix.
You hear that? You human shit stains. I'm just kidding. Again, like, this is what they thought of back then. So, and it's sad to think about that Carl believed this too. Right? That it seems like only Zachariah's line, that the whole Gwendolyn line was probably the only one that actually thought of not carrying this forward. Same with the Elias line with Sam and stuff. And even thinking about who Ron and Robert could have sued, it's a bit scary to think that maybe they sued her. Because again, bastard granddaughter, born out of wedlock, tried to take her out of the Clancy trust. She's not in the trust, but maybe to take the rest of her family out. And so all she gets specifically is the farm. Like, damn, this family was fucked up in many different ways, right? And it continued to the modern day. Yeah, exactly. It's because the environment shapes their beliefs. Yeah, but I always sort of look at that and I go, if that was the only thing that controlled who you are, people would never change, right? So, in saying that, I think it's also important to recognize that the environment could have also shaped the Carolyn Borden side as well, right? It could have shaped the Carolyn Borden side. It could have shaped the Zach Morton side. It could have shaped the whole left side of the tree as well. But Carolyn decided, you know, she specifically consciously chose to like break that mold, to influence her life with intentful actions that pushed herself towards being a more open person, right? So while it is fair to say that the environment does shape your beliefs, it's also very fair to say that everyone has the power to a change. Yeah, of course it takes willpower. Yeah, of course, and it's hard to get willpower, but it's fascinating to see this sort of like play out in this game, and to see it actually, I think, do a fairly good job of showing what happens when you have the both sides of the coin of like apathy, and so carrying on the tradition of hate, and then progress, where and like change, positive change, where through willpower and the desire to want to be better, they sort of change the way that they think about things. I don't think willpower and hate is the 2 ingredients that you need. No, I think hate specifically is the ingredient that you would need, because hate. I think hate is almost diminutive of what desire ends up feeling like, because hate could be one of those desires that you end up with. Like, you may hate it so much that you desire change, right? But it could also just be as simple as you simply want to desire, like you may simply desire to be a better person, whatever that means, right? In the most vaguest form, and then you just take whatever baby steps that you have to do to like get there, right? I think hate is a valid ingredient if used well, if channeled well, but I don't think hate specifically is like the only ingredient. If it's just a form of it, I think, that you could use to motivate yourself to be a better person.
They tried to erase Edward Clancy. They even removed his 5 pieces flavor. His name was deemed a dirty word.
Yep.
He became EC.
EC. Threw the candy away. the ad that we got from Volume 1 versus Volume 2 from Charles Lee. Thank you, Charles Lee. People who have road rage have that form of hate. I don't think so. I think people who have road rage have a very different form of hate. I think the road rage form of hate is specifically the impulsive kind. The one where you have no desire to control yourself. And honestly, it's easy to, because again, you're in this like enclosed metal box where you feel invincible. So you just let it out and you control your metal box to like inconvenience someone else, right? But I don't think it's that same level of hate as wanting to change something about the environment. I think specifically road rage is a different kind of hate where it's impulsive because of a difference in expectations and reality, and a lack of patience for an outcome that is almost guaranteed to happen, if that makes sense. Because it's like, most people road rage, and they're going to road rage over stuff like you're in front of me and you're going 5 miles per hour slower than we should be, even though we're both speeding above 50, right? Or whatever the limit is. And so it's like, oh, I hate you. To me, that's a very different impulsive thing. Yeah, exactly. It's like a rage and forget, yeah.
We were sent to the farm, and the 5 pieces did their best to keep the next generation away.
Damn.
To isolate me from family.
Pops warned us away from that farm for years.
But Elias couldn't erase us from existence.
Yeah.
Laura never realized I was the little girl from her diary.
Yeah, it's sad. And even Lauren kind of forgot that she wrote that. Which, again, I thought that was a very accurate thing to have in this game, too. I'm very impressed by how well this game wrote things. Obviously, by the end, it kind of falls apart, because, the modern-day family is sort of still building up their lives, and so it makes sense why their hints were much more difficult to find, because the modern generation, the modern line of the Roottrees family, it literally has a baby, and babies don't have an identity yet, in the sense of they've never made a name for themselves out in the world yet, so it's kind of hard to find any articles on them. But what we did find was so good at demonstrating all these different facets of human life, and this one in particular was interesting in the way that she forgot that she even wrote this. It was like a passing anger. It was a thing that never really struck out to her as being strange, and she never really thought about it. She never could even fathom a world where her father, where Lauren, her father, could be a bad person who would basically throw a child away. She just thought no, this child is stupid. It's my dad. You know what I mean? In a way, it's so unfathomable to them, because in a way, I don't think Lauren could have ever expected that level of hate and that level of of just. What's the word? It starts with a B. Bigotry, towards other people from her father. It didn't really register in her mind. That would be so catastrophic when she discovers the truth. Well, so I wonder if she's dead. She might be dead, because Carl's predecessor was younger than her. So the person who was president before Carl, who just died in the accident, was younger than her. Which means ultimately that I don't think she would have ever found out, because she probably would have died beforehand, because she was the oldest of the entire family. However, I think she sort of probably knew a bit about the truth, in the sense of she was somewhat aware of what was going on. Oops. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Who could blame me for being so confused that day? Her father was an exact copy of mine, except without the beard.
But yeah, I think she kind of knew. I think Lauren kind of knew, in the sense of at least from the sexist angle. I think she knew from the angle of the woman not being given everything. I think she probably would have suspected something involving the rest of it, had she sort of seen how the family grew up from there. But I think she herself also had some ideas about the world too. She was very, very dismissive of Gwyn, for instance. And Gwyn's life wasn't necessarily the best either. And she probably also was just unaware of a lot of things. She looks at Chris Rafferty and says, well, how come he keeps, divorcing and marrying someone new? As much as she was aware of some things, I think she too also had her faults that made her that made it difficult for her to be aware of other faults. she seemed like she was able to dismiss a lot as sort of like a weird happenstance, or just a weird sort of like thing. And for instance, never realizing that like Clark's trauma of not having his father around, or just not knowing his like father because he like died in the war, probably resulted in him being that way. Evil is hard to conceal, easy to reveal. Yep. But we're good at lying to ourselves and believing lies. Yep.
And while the five
But
pieces
I don't think she was lying to
celebrated
herself.
the new factory, farmhands did the real work.
I don't think she was lying to herself. I think specifically she just didn't know. Like, in a way, she wasn't... It's like harsh to say, but it feels like she was probably just more naive than actually lying and bad. I think she just didn't know. And she couldn't ever know, because she already had these biases that tweaked her thinking in a way that made it impossible for her to reconcile these, like, facts. I also like that the game touches on this a bit. And I'm curious how it expands this, specifically the idea of the working class versus the ruling class. Because the farmhands doing all the work and EC being relegated to it. And Sam having seen that directly. I'm actually curious to see to hear about her perspective.
It's a fluke there's a picture of my father at all.
Mm-hmm.
But there he is in the background. The sixth five-piece.
What did they call... Oh yeah, 5 piece. Yeah.
Patsy returned, and things got complicated for Elias. She fought for my freedom, from a life she deemed unworthy.
Unworthy. Yeah, that's the thing. Unworthy. Twisted twin. Wicked relative. It's a very strange way of saying things.
Elias relented, so long as I never learned the truth or receive inheritance. They knew I'd help my father.
Okay, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. I kind of forgot that obviously she would want to help him. I don't know. I just, see, again, because it's like, you could be naive about things, because it's so easy to be in a mindset where it's some ideas never even come to ferment in your mind. I could never even begin to conceive the idea of Elias holding her back from the main line, Clansed Trust. It just in order to ensure that EC gets no money from it, and thus no way to live. And that's why she was given only the farm. But Gwyneth, I think she's probably going to talk about how Gwyneth gave her the farm as a way to spite this.
At Elias's will reading, I learned part of the truth. The rest I learned at home. I began to hate the five pieces.
Damn.
My father made me stay silent. He was worried history would repeat, and that his grandchildren would become outcasts.
Well, now I'm curious. Because she considers both her father, right? Her biological and her father. I wonder if she means specifically EC.
His fears weren't
Or
unfounded.
maybe Elias.
As you know, my son Ernie died a few years ago.
Right.
He had trained to take over as president.
Yeah.
But due to family politics, or
Hubris.
perhaps hubris,
Yeah.
it went to Guy. A real Roottrie.
Yep.
He nearly ruined the company.
Yep. By making him the worst candy ever. Yeah. Yeah, that's this. This is interesting too, because I talk about chaebols a lot, like South Korean chaebols. This idea of like a corporation run by a single family. Same concept here. This corporation is being run by the Roottrie family, even if they're entirely unqualified. So, funny enough, I have very, 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 very relatable real-world experience about this, where there's some people that are constantly being, I guess, trained for a specific role in a family-oriented business, and to me, they're not ready, or if they could do it, they would have done it themselves a long time ago. And I feel like they're passing up a lot of people who could actually be very good at it, had they just opened their mind a little bit more to the possibility. But, I think it's just very common. It's just a very easy mindset to fall into. This, like, nepotistic mindset where you believe that the only people that you can trust is your family. And that's the only people that can actually run the show or your family. But that doesn't have to be it's not really the case. I'm gonna tell you this. It's really not the case. So it's weird that I can relate to this in a very personal, very direct way, like with a very, very large sort of similarity between my situation and theirs. Not to say that like I'm like mega rich, but it is fascinating to sort of see the similarities of the mindset of someone who like runs their own business and has the ability to choose a successor, and probably has to at some point, very, very soon. And it's sort of so dead set on keeping it within the family for no good reason. Strange.
When Ernie took over, he saved the operation.
Ernie, yeah.
Over 13 years, he made the family billions.
And that's their billions, not ours. Sorry, Sam. I didn't mean to say ours. I'm just a detective that you hired.
Ernie earned about $36.
Right. Yeah, the salary was lots of things. So he only earned that much. And Ernie couldn't actually... Oh, fuck. I just realized this. Sorry. Yeah. Ernie couldn't even make any money. Because Samantha's entire family line wasn't a part of the Clansett Trust. They were locked to the farm. They didn't get to be a part of the Clansett Trust. Only the farm. So Ernie actually made nothing. He probably just lived off of farm income only. Stickman, so rich he doesn't need an heir for he's immortal. No. I'm not rich. I'm 5%, but I'm not rich. You know what I mean?
They got by on Debbie's salary.
No, you know what?
But
It is
when
rich.
he fell
yeah.
ill, he couldn't pay his medical bills. His death was my tipping point.
Yeah, she did mention this. And then Carl had to step in to help pay for other things as well. Right. And that was only when Carl stepped in.
Originally, my book was meant to expose Elias's hypocrisy. Until I started to look into the other dirty laundry.
Wait, so Robbie and Ron are assholes. Oh my god. Wait, so yeah, Robbie and Ron are assholes and they were trying to sue Sam. Damn, they tried to sue Sam and they said, but then it doesn't make sense because she's not a part of the Clansett Trust. So, but then Carl paid for Ernie's funeral and stuff. Yeah, that's why Debbie was saying thank you.
Ron tried to have Robbie removed from the trust,
Oh, okay.
but couldn't.
Yeah, okay.
Robbie was a blood relative, even out of wedlock.
Okay. That makes sense. I didn't read this one clearly. I saw this line, but I don't think I read this clearly. I didn't realize that what this meant was that he was born out of wedlock in the sense of he was completely out of wedlock and not just in the sense of like he was conceived in wedlock. Like I thought wedlock was not just a birth thing. I thought it was also like a conception thing where it's like they were together when they had it and then he was born and then he's still a part of the family. It's not really wedlock. You know what I mean? Like it's that's a bit silly. So my original theory of Robbie suing Ron was correct, or Ron suing Robbie. The director suing the non-director was correct. Because that was my original theory until I thought that maybe both of them were in it together.
That sounded familiar. The Clansett Trust that Elias established was designed to secure his family's future.
Yep.
His entire family's future. He couldn't write exceptions in without the whole thing falling apart.
Very true. Legal documents are very...
My book can definitively prove that Elias was not the paragon of virtue he's heralded as.
Does anyone herald them as that?
And that my daughter and granddaughters are just as much family, at least in the eyes of the trust, as anyone else.
You know, she's not wrong. That's why it's weird that Ernie died penniless too, because it's all based on who is a part of the bloodline, right? You have to be a blood relative. She, and thus all of her children, came from Elias Jr. So even though she's a part of the EC side of things, because she was adopted by them, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's not a part of the family to then gain access to the Clansett Trust. That's, again, I really hope she mentions Gwyneth and why Gwyneth gave her the farm. Because it felt like, the way that Gwyneth was talking about it, it felt either like a consolation prize for Sam or for Elias. Because I'm curious where Gwyneth lies in here, but who knows?
The Clansett Trust will secure their future. They can decide what to do with their shares. But I'm old, and I'm not in it for the money.
Imagine being in middle school, and you have no clue that you're rich. You just see your family as like a family of farmers, okay? Then all of a sudden you come home one day, and your mom says, honey, I've successfully sued the family. You now have $7 billion. Like, what do you do at that point? You're in middle school. What do you do? I would just go into a cave. I would literally, my wife and I would move into a cave. We wouldn't leave. I wouldn't do anything. I would just give the rest of the money away. I'd get as much money as I need to live, like, painlessly. I'd give the rest of it away to some, like, charity or something.
The truth has been eating away at me for years. But now, I can set the record straight. Thanks to you.
You're welcome. I'm the best goddamn detective around.
As someone who enjoys searching for the truth,
Yep.
you might understand the power it has.
That's an interesting sentence.
Whitewashing the past to protect the status quo can lead to repercussions in the present and future.
Yes, yes. And the truth is the one thing that will set you free, yes.
So thank you. You knocked it out of the park. With your expert work, the truth will come to light.
I like how she says that the truth has power. It's a mindset that is often forgotten, but it's so pivotal to seek the truth in all things, because the power of irrefutability and the power of absolute trust in the fact that it is what it is so powerful, because it acts as both a stable ground for you to work off of, as well as a tool that you can swing around at will and with complete abandon, because, you know, nobody can touch it. It cannot break. It's like a weapon with infinite durability because it is what it is.
And when it does, my share of the Clancid Trust is yours. Like I said at the beginning, set for life.
Thank you! When you dying, it's soon, right? You're gonna die soon, right? Woohoo! Baby! Thank you, Sam. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Looking at the family tree on your wall, now with my father's, everything finally feels complete.
You're not gonna take your shares away after I said all that, right?
Unless a whole lot more Roottrees somehow appear from thin air. This is the last time I'll come knocking.
Oh, that's a diss to all of the new generation that none of them get laid.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
So long.
Cool. That was a good. That was a good end. Wow, that was a solid end.
We're rolling,
Oh no! Don't put the rolling song. Thanks to your hard work, Sam Madsen's book was published. It received mixed reviews. Life went on, and a new president took over the company. The Roottrees family faded from the news cycle. And then, everything changed. What? There's another mystery to solve. Oh yeah, there's a part 2. Roottreemania is now unlocked as a new game. So yeah, that was cool. That was good. That was really cool. Now, I forgot that this game has actually 2 portions to it, and I actually kind of want to finish the second portion before we move back to like infra. But that was a good end. I was really lost the entire way. I think initially I thought there was somebody that could possibly kill them, and the way that the game sets it up, it feels like your typical murder mystery crime thriller, right? But it, you know, if you take the bare bones definition of noir on Wikipedia, of stylistic and cynical and full of fatalism and fatalistic, I think that this game fits very, very well, right? It shows you the reality that a lot of these crimes are committed in the most normal of places because our world is just that awful. Like, that's the cynicism. That's the fatalism. A lot of these, you know, evil doers and a lot of these terrible crimes against humanity are committed just because our world is a shit place still. And we're just barely crawling out of the smoldering ashes of a time that is, you know, being burned over by bullshit. We're still not there yet at any good place, but at least it's better than what it was yesterday. But is that really something to celebrate? I don't know. It's a fascinating sort of take on that entire genre, and a great execution of the gameplay mechanics with the little computer, the periodicals, the different news sources they can find. The writing is fantastic. I see why it falls apart at the end with just a list of names, because these people haven't really made a name for themselves yet. Like, they're still just getting out there in the world, so it makes sense. Like, even the Roottrees sisters were already famous before and were almost larger than life in many different ways, right? So it makes sense for why everyone else wasn't really ever going to be expanded upon in like random notes and magazine articles, right? That was good. That was good. Just the writing in general was such a good... It was so good at capturing the feeling of the world back then. So good at capturing the mindsets. So good at capturing the ways that things were implied, especially within the writing. That's the type of writing that you used to see and that you still see. It's that duplicitous writing where they hide and mask away their true feelings so as to present an image of being an honorable, forward-thinking, progressive person, but behind the scenes, they actually just don't like gay people, or black people, or women. It's like, yeah, like, it's, okay, cool. Like, you use a cool word like twisted and evil, but you never explain that he didn't, like, murder, like, an entire school of children, You know, he just was gay. It's like that's real evil, man. It's good. Very solid stuff. I'm gonna pee. Be right back. And then we're gonna try the Roottreemania because I don't even know what this means. So the Roottrees Are Dead was the original game. So I found this out while researching this game. It was an itch.io game jam or separate game. Then it was expanded, and then Roottreemania was added. So this is the fully new stuff, as well as the new stuff within the top portion. We're gonna try this, see how far we can get in it. Hopefully the whole thing. Because if this was that good, I can imagine this might be even more interesting, given that it seems to be hinting at some people coming out of the woodwork out of nowhere. But that's after I pee. BRB. I have chocolate ice cream. I now have the sugar necessary to go through all this. Roottreemania will spoil unlocked content. Make sure you tied up any loose ends for something. I'm pretty sure we got every single loose end. I don't think there's a single loose end that was left. We got all the optional content. We got all the optional names. We got everything. We actually got a perfect 100%. And we actually got a very interesting deep dive into the story from it too. Again, what a great execution of the concept that the better you play, the more you learn, and the more your appreciation for the story. And I can absolutely see how this game is absolutely impossible to play if you don't want to go through all of that. Because if you do the bare minimum, you're left with nothing. You actually don't even get to enjoy the story. So much of the enjoyment comes from just learning about the world. Number 2. The Roottrees are dead again. What's this? Is it Sam again? Who the hell are you?
Hi.
Clark?
I'm Clark. Probably not who you expected to be knocking, but life's funny sometimes.
Okay, I didn't expect... Yeah, what is going on, Clark?
You've done well staying anonymous. It took us a while to track you down. A lot has happened in the last year. Far too much of it public. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes, too.
Oh, a lot of sex going on, eh? Who's having sex with who?
I never wanted to be president. I'm not great with stress. And with my mother's deteriorating
You're the president now? What? Wait, Carl died, so he became the president. His mother, Lauren.
I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because part of the fallout of Sam's book is that everyone's coming out of the woodwork.
Oh, right, because everyone who's a part of the bloodline. Oh, no, we're about to learn how horny the Roottrees are, right? Again, bloodlines are a little silly. Because, again, you base things off of bloodline. Like, people have kids all the time. Like, I'm pretty sure I have nieces and nephews that I don't even know the name of, and no one knows the name of. I've only been privy to their existence on some level, right? This is a real thing that happens in real life when you deal with larger pieces of your family. So, to sort of see this being turned into a story, again, it's strange how I can relate to this, but, oh god, this is interesting. The game never stops being interesting.
Now that it's public knowledge, the Clancid Trust covers any Roottree despite their history with us. A lot of potential cousins have surfaced.
How much sex have you all been having?
You may have seen that man on the cover of News Time. That was a disaster for us.
No, I haven't. I just loaded it into the save, actually.
And then Miracle went and made it all about himself.
God damn it, Miracle.
The long and short of it is, a lot of potential cousins just showed up. Sam's helping some of them.
Oh, wait, that's interesting. You know what? I guess it makes sense. Sam morally is going to be consistent in that form. She's going to want to help them as much as they can because she doesn't want to carry on the injustice that she felt. I'm curious to see how the family's going to reconcile this.
But she's not really going about it the right way.
What?
And she's not taking calls from anyone in the family.
Is it fair to say that the way that she's going about it is not the right way when she herself was a victim of it? I don't know. That feels a bit callous of Clark.
I let it slip through a mutual friend that I found you, and I was stopping in. It's manipulative, but I'm hoping she'll reach out to you. You can let her know I'm on her side.
He wants to. But why? Why would he care? Probably because to be fair, he was from Lauren's side. Basically, it seems like everybody who was from the woman's side of the family seemed to be good. Everyone who seemed to follow the male patriarchy lines seemed to be awful in some way.
In the meantime, if you're willing, I can share our files with you.
Yeah.
Pass them along to Sam if she reaches out. I'm genuinely hoping she'll realize I'm an ally.
Don't worry, Clark. I'll put in a good word for you. By the way, since you're here, Mr. President, I've got like $7 billion worth of shares that I want to sell to you. You mind buying them from me?
Feel free to do your own research. I've been told you enjoy things like this. To each their own.
Hey, my 7 billion shares. Would you like to do a stock buyback? Please, I'm begging you. I need to cash out now before my life gets worse. God damn it. Oh, you bring up one mention of stock buyback and everyone's like, oh, sorry, Treasury's closed until Friday. God. Okay, this is interesting. So now we deal with everyone. We deal with everyone. What? Oh, that's a new face. Oh, we get new faces for these people. Chat, it continues from Chris. Oh my god. See, I was wondering. I was like, Chris feels like a very large timeline that wasn't at all explored. Same with November. Chris and November seemed like they should have been continued in some way. But then they didn't. But now, I guess it is. Because now Chris has a different photo here. Which implies that he's probably related to one of these. Which says that maybe Clark had sex. Did Clark have sex? That's weird. That's weird to think that Clark had sex. But like multiple times with people that he wasn't married to. You know what? This makes sense. He's got a lot of people that he divorced over the years. Same with probably Robert too. I would not be surprised. Okay, so what did I get? Notable events. Today is August 3rd, 1999. It's been 8 months since you helped Sam Madsen with the research necessary for her book. Sam was true to her word and paid you an incredibly large sum of money. She never mentioned you by name, however, so you've managed to keep a low profile. The Roottrees, on the other hand, have not. Below is a summary of notable events since the book's release, though you can refresh your memory in full detail by searching online. The 6 pieces. Oh, snap. Sam Madsen's book about Elias Roottree was released in February. It was a bestseller for a few months. At the time, Carl had not yet been replaced. The Rootree Rift. In March, the Rootree company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release with multiple conflicting press releases and a clear lack of leadership. Then, Clark. Clark was announced as the permanent successor to Carl Rootree and welcomed Sam Madsen to the family officially. Hey! The company hired an outside legal group to handle the changes to the Clancy Trust. This included any other new questions of lineage. So, Clark does sound like a good person. And it's interesting that he was named as a successor, though. Because, again, this sort of reminds me of this. In this generation, who else do you have that could have been a candidate in this line of people, right? Miracle is already busy doing his own thing. His, let's say, eldest line really believes in the shillage. They really enjoy the scammery, the scamming that they're doing. They want to perpetuate the cults. This is a very cult-like family. You know, the other side of the family, Elias M, has decided to leave that side entirely and become a mechanic instead, and be actually good normal people instead of trying to scam people. Okay. Gwyn is no longer a part of the limelight. She no longer wants to be there. And Ron and Robert are already doing their own thing as directors. And they've already got some bad things going on. So they're obviously out. James is already a musician. A failed one at that. But does it really matter if you failed as long as you tried to make music? That's art, baby. You have Ernest, who died. Gwyneth, who presumably died because she's around the same age, but at the same time Sam is still alive, so maybe she's still alive. But either way, this family line is relegated to being farmers, so there's nothing she can really do, right? At least until recently. Carolyn is an artist. She's actually stignet to the man. She's busy stignet to the man, so much so that she married a woman. So she's also out. There's another photo for Zach. Oh, okay, cool. There's another photo for Zach as well. Gwendolyn has become a housewife to Wilson Stevens, so she's out. And the guy was the president. He died in a car crash. And Bonnie is a housewife. So, of all these people, there's actually one other candidate that could work. And that's November. If she wasn't already a dancer and a woman. Sadly, they're still carrying on this tradition of only men, probably. And also because... But it also doesn't make any sense, because if it's just men, how come the dude in advertising is more qualified than the dancer? Like, technically, they're both on the same level. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really much of a difference. So, I'm just gonna say it. 5 Ps. What? After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be Roottrees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. The highest profile of these, by a wide margin, was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5Ps as a publicity move at the time. 5Ps is the only notable person in the updated tree. Peas. Really? There's also Roottreemania. In another high-profile misstep, the Miracle Rootree publicly and vehemently denied that 5Ps was a Rootree. Good job, Miracle! The Rootrees legal team then offered to do a DNA test to get 5Ps to drop his claim, and in a moment, that caught what seemed like the entire world by storm. The test proved he was a Rootree. Suddenly, the world was obsessed with the Rootrees. Oh, you idiot! You should have never brought any attention to it. Let him keep rapping under his fake name, and now you've given him a way in. This is fascinating. I like this sort of angle where now anybody can be a Rootree, and they're slowly being brought in by accident. Give me a second though. Sorry, business call. Anonymom and Jane Doe Rootree. What? In July, an anonymous woman, who the press began to refer to as Anonymom. Now, at least it's not as cursed as Octomom, because Octomom, that was an interesting time period for the world pop culture that scene. Appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed that an affair with a Rootree led to the birth of her daughter, aka Jane Doe Rootree. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret Rootree, and therefore entitled to a share of the clan's trust. Nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the last chapter in the Roottreemania saga. What? As more and more of Anonymom's story came out, we began to notice how much it echoed 5Ps in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to churn. Confirming the world's suspicions, the DNA test, orchestrated by lawyers on both sides, proved that her daughter was not a Rootree. Damn. This final event caused public disappointment, smugness from dead doubters, and countless accusations of the entire ordeal being an elaborate hoax or attempt at fraud. Things got a bit ugly. The fun of Roottreemania seemed to disappear overnight. Now, 2 months later, it feels like a distant memory. Well, clearly not in 5P's eyes, but 5P's for sure is a Rootree. Now, what's interesting is that it mirrors his story, which means we know for sure that, just reading between the lines, 5P's came from this. Came from cheating. So somebody had sex with somebody and gave birth. That's crazy. You know what I mean? If you're gonna cheat, why do you cheat raw? And then why do you, nut in somebody raw, you know? You gotta at least wrap it up if you're gonna cheat, you know what I mean? But I guess that's the allure of it. I suppose that's the allure. If you're going to cheat, you might as well go all the way to make it, extra, frisky. It's and you just go right inside someone, you know? It's... let's see. This was already done. Previously on The Rootrees Are Dead. There's a new investigation with a new focus after many months of newfound interest in the Roottrees. I'm going to be honest with you, it's only been five minutes since the last one. It is recommended you try to catch up with some of what happened last time. I'm going to be... a good thing for me that I'm doing this all in one go, eh? Some web searches may yield new or different results, and some books and magazines from your previous investigation may be relevant to your new one. Really? Oh... It's also a much more widespread search. The list of first and last names you can choose from will contain red herrings. Thank you. Not all of them will be used. Thank you. See, it's already better. I'm telling you. It's like they knew. They knew. Evil Trout knew. Evil Trout and I forget the other person's name. I'm so sorry. They understood why the ending of that first one was probably going to be a little bit strange, the way that you just pulled names out of a hat. This one with the red herrings means you have to be exact. You must deduce it all. Now this is a true deduction puzzle. Oh, so good. Below is a reminder of some of the most notable beats of your initial dive into the Rootree family tree. All evidence from before is still available, and for your convenience, any searches that do not lead to new information still function as they did during your first investigation. What? Oh, I see. As in every single page. Even Prodigy and stuff. Cool. The Rootree Candy Company was founded by Elias. Yep. Most of the actions in place are in or around Butler County, Pennsylvania. I didn't know it was Pennsylvania. Yep, okay. Elias, Carl, Rainer on the cover. Yep. Lawrence, 2 diaries. Probably was used for reasons over. No, mentioning her relatives. Yep. Movies. Yep. No trees. Yep. 5Ps, relatives. 5 presidents. Many featured Carolyn Morden. Yep. Many of the younger Rootrees following a complex rabbit hole through conspiracy side. were found. Yeah. November Rootree was really difficult to place. No, she was actually the easiest. Well, she was one of the easier ones. It was harder to figure out which one was the younger child and the baby. Really hard to place the baby photo. Ronald Gobert, yep, and then embezzlement, yep, and the RR, yep, son and father, which we mentioned, yeah. Also a few dead ends and red herrings. Aloysius, who was not, family man, trying to be propaganda, yep, other books, romantic novels, Carolyn Boylan's sculptures when useful, yeah. An unexpected visitor. Clark. Man, that is an unflattering photo of Clark. I'm sorry, Clark. I didn't mean to draw this like this. My character is a detective, not an artist. Today, August 3rd, 1999, there was a knock at your door. Clark Rafferty LaRue, the current president of the Roottrees Candy Company, explained that multiple people had come out of the woodwork to claim to be Roottrees. He's been trying to work with Sam, but she has not answered his calls. He also handed you a letter that said that you could share with Sam. They said you could share with Sam that said the following. To both of you, the company I hired to help us with the Clancy Trust is busy pouring through the entire family's history, those people they may have had contact with. That said, the family is not particularly happy with this, and are doing their best to slow things down. Many of them are actively avoiding our interviews. Every time there's a high-profile public case, it causes headaches. So please, I don't mind if you do your research, but I ask that you stop going to the press. Instead, we have a highly trained team of lawyers to back you up. We're ready and willing to verify anyone and everyone you believe could be realistically a part of a relationship that led to the birth of a new Roottrie. Thank God you can do DNA via spit now. Can you imagine back then when you needed to come the cup to figure out DNA? People would be interviewed and they'd be coming constantly in the cups to figure out if this person belongs to someone else. Lawyers would be carrying vials of cum to every meeting. One lawyer would probably trip and fall and they'd become all the floors. Thank God DNA testing has gotten better. Just tell us who to investigate by filling in the new sections of the tree, and we'll take the time to handle verifying that the timeline checks out. But keep in mind why we're here. If someone didn't have a child, or has already been disqualified by our lawyers, like in the case of the girl with the negative DNA test, there won't be a place for them on the tree. We're not just looking for affairs and infidelities. We're only looking for the ones that led to potential new Roottrees. Some spots in the new section will be marked with a tree icon. Those areas are reserved for members of the original family tree you filled in 8 months ago. Right. Just like last time, be sure to use birth names for everyone you add. Married names or nicknames won't be enough. To start sorting out the infidelities, I recommend you turn your eyes to the men in positions of power. I'd love to say it's only because it would have been a lot harder for the woman to hide 9 months of pregnancy and birth without the family noticing, but I can't. As in, even the woman could have also been having sex, you know. Or maybe, no, I don't think he's implying that the woman could have been cheating. I think he's implying that it's because the men were just that horny. I don't know. You could read it as both ways. Oops. I'll be blunt. I'm no stranger to infidelity. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wish I could claim that I was a perfect husband, but you've seen the family tree, so why pretend? Some of us learned how to wield our family name and fortune to our benefit. Consequences began. I can't change the past or unhurt those whose I betrayed. Instead, those who I betrayed. Instead, all I can do is be honest with myself and to you. Refuse to make any more mistakes. And do my best to sort the various messes we've left behind. So please, fill in the tree. And together we can figure out how to begin to make amends. Good luck. Thank you both. I see why Sam doesn't want to talk to him. Immediately I get the sense that for him, these are mistakes that you can sort of hand wave away. Okay, sorry for hurting your feelings. Sorry for giving birth to a child that I'm not taking care of. Who gives a fuck? Here's the money, now just leave us alone. That's not how it works, Clark. Sorry, buddy, but these are human beings with feelings. I see why Sam doesn't want to take a part in this. Because she probably sees Clark as just as much of a problem as everyone else. How dismissive he is. Disgusting. Anyways, let's search up who fucked who. I would be impressed if Jane LaRue did not have a child. Oh, she did. It was Chris. Well, let's I'm gonna. By the way, I'm gonna assume that everyone with a new photo probably is gonna be in each of these. So I'm assuming, for instance, that 1 Clark, 2 Chris, 3 Zach. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Where do we begin? Let's start with 5 P's and 6 pieces. I want to read the book. Welcome. Thank you for upgrading your Cashew Nut PC to NutOS 1.1. Damn, he nuttin'. Your computer is now ready for Y2K. We recommend shutting it down on New Year's Eve just in case. I forgot about that. File names can now be up to 20 characters long. That should be enough for everyone. Putting a CD in the drive upside down will no longer heat the plastic to dangerous temperatures. We no longer prompt you to replace printer ink when it's still 50% full. Thank God. As always, cashew peas are delicious. Wait, so what's new about my desk? Like, what's new around here? What's up? Family. I'm assuming these books are all the same, right? But CD in the CD drive upside down. The duck is still the same. Very annoying. Right, girl. Comic books. It's all the same. But maybe I can search up again. Family Doku. Alphabet Davis. Alphabet. Whatever. Connect. It's so slow. I remember this time period trying to play games. Why do I have Pixpop again? Oh, I guess it keeps everything from before. Okay. Alphabet. Did he release any new books? Alphabet Davis. I don't know why my typing is so odd now. Ends and Beginnings was written as a conclusion. When the 4th was released in 1998. What? Bankroll, electronic version. Well, I don't think I need these anymore. Yeah, okay, so these are all done. Basically, everything that we've done is done before. I think I search Riot Girl. This page hasn't been updated for 8 months and may now be irrelevant. You find a few pages that apparently got started in Olympia. Your poster on your wall. Wait a minute. So, they didn't have the banner for Alphabet Davis either. Or does it have the banner for Evil Trout? Or the Roottrees are dead? So it has a banner for this, for the other thing, but it doesn't have a banner for this. I swear to God there's a secret in the Alphabet Davis books. Because it doesn't have that banner for the Roottrees are dead, which leads you to the secret. I found it, right? Or like I found the thing. But it doesn't have a banner for Alphabet Davis, which is supposedly not related to the investigation. It must be a secret, whatever. So let's just check out 6 pieces. So 6 pieces is the new thing. Sam. What is your name? I know it's only been like 5 minutes, but what's your full name? Samantha Rootree. I wonder if there's anything new about this. Or rather, let's see Carl Rootree. Older version of this page in the time travel archive. Oh. Yeah, this is the one that we saw in the first game. This is the newest one. I see. Many websites and news articles. What about my notebook? Wait, what's my notebook look like? Yes. Oh, yes. How many pages can I have? Oh, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. It's not as good as I would have hoped. It's a little bit better. Still kind of annoying, to be fair. Can you do this now? Can you do like a lot of these lines and basically redo them? And scroll up and down? Like if I do this now? Can I go over here and scroll this? You can. Okay, the system, maybe it's a bit better? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a bit better. Anyways, eulogize. Many websites and news articles eulogize Carl Rootree, along with his daughters and wife, Brenda. As far as you can tell, Carl and Brenda Rootree never had any marital issues. Well, how do we know that? To be fair, you know what? I have a good way of knowing who cheated. Anybody with a lot of kids did not cheat. Anybody with only one child probably cheated. That's a good way to tell. Clark, he wasn't cheating anymore. He has 3 kids total now, right? Carl, he had 3 daughters. He was getting pussy every single day from his wife, right? James, same thing too. Okay. Ronald, yeah. Robert, we don't really know. Miracle, this guy's probably pounding her every single day. Tessa, oh, Elias M could be a cheater. I don't know. Who else has 1 child? That's it. There's no way. If Carolyn ends up being one of these people... You do come across an article about a Kristen Valdez who claims to have been Carl's high school sweetheart before Brenda. She does not make any claim about having had a child with him. She just appeared to be paid to talk about his early life. Most of it is boring. She says they met when he was sent to a private school near her hometown and broke up when he graduated and moved back to Butler County. Okay. The Root website has a small memorial section to the deceased members of the family, but it contains no new information. The most recent catalog had an entirely black cover with no text on it. On the leadership page, we learned that the Root is currently managed by a designer who is apparently Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognize her name, and she seems unrelated to your search. You know, I like that the game puts this into the text now to let you know. There is also a scholarship page. On it, you find information about the Roottrees sisters' fashion scholarship. Okay, let's see this. Mi Familia. So this is the main family. Okay, cool. We'll do this as the main family. It is awarded to 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Ah, yes, just like the Roottrees sisters. Underprivileged because they couldn't tap into their stocks yet. Apparently, it also gives them the opportunity to show off their designs on professional models on a real runway. According to the site, it's a good effort. According to the site, the fund was created directly from shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottrees sisters if they were still alive. Like other aspects of the Clancy Trust, it's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises, so this is new. So before, it was being done by Clancy Edward. But now it's being managed by a Ruby Legal Enterprises. That's interesting. Oops. Placeholder. New law firm handling the Clancy Trust. Hired by Clark. That's what he said, I think. It's the name of the law firm that has been hired by the Roottree Candy Company, aka by Clark. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. Oh, here we go. Head lawyer named Ruby Spratt. You can't find much about the company from before this year, although all the articles tell the same tale. The fiasco of 6 pieces, and the revelation that the Rootrees internal law group was complicit in such a cover-up, they hired outside counsel, right? The Ruby Legal Enterprise Group now seems to have many ties to multiple aspects of the Rootree Corporation, including the Candy Company and Root. They were recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cecily Sanchez. First off, that's a lot of information. Second off, let's go back to this Rootree Sisters Fashion Scholarship. I'm taking this in a different approach. My first playthrough of the game, just a moment ago, was marked by periods of wandering. Let's call it wandering, where I would wander the desert, and upon seeing what looked like a mirage in the distance, I would journey over there only to find nothing, and also only to forget where I came from, and simply to see yet another mirage in the distance and simply chase that too. I didn't have any structure to it. I simply typed and kept typing, like I was on the Wikipedia page for some famous celebrity, learning about their early life and learning that Jack Black is related to the woman who programmed something about some astronaut or some spaceship going to space, okay? Then you're 50 pages too deep, and all of a sudden you're at Kevin Bacon, alright? We gotta take this step by step now. What is your name? Okay, well, that was useless. Let's go back to the legal enterprises. We now check out Ruby Spratt. Very important. Ruby Spratt, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. Relatively elusive. Head lawyer of the Ruby Legal Enterprises. Wait. Oh, right, because lawyers have like paralegals and stuff working under them. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Roottrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She was the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Ruby grew up in foster care, but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University, okay? There she graduated at the top of her legal class and was quickly hired as a lawyer for a prominent firm. No parents. Smart. Studied at Mid-Eastern University on scholarship. There's no way, is that a real there's no way it's a real one, right? There are a couple, no, yeah, there she graduated the class, yeah. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases she was a part of. One was as a legal consultant for a class-action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers, PhD in rugs. Another was to help a local gas station chain in the hometown of Portland with a rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. You're kidding me, right? Like, that's... That's so stupid. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. But you could absolutely do that. How come no one's ever done that? I will say this: fiction writers, they keep coming up with some crazy shit that makes you want to like actually turn it into reality. Because I could do this. And you could do that for every local area. And so you'd be betting with your local people. And so it's like your community would come together and would bet about, you know, some random thing within the community. And price of gas is a fairly stable thing that everyone will... Not stable as in price, but stable as in concept and stable as in existence that everyone in your neighborhood will know. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. I kind of want to do it though. It does sound awful though. The blurb ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Isn't that what? Double threat? Isn't that double threat? Like saying? Isn't that what they say about like somebody who has like massive titties or something? I don't know. Her company's services are a cross between a traditional lawyer and a PR manager. Okay, so PR, right? Because she also does this. Local consultant for a lawsuit, Portland. Okay, let's start top to bottom. We search up all the terms that we think about, okay? Save the Roottrees for later. Mid-Eastern University. And I'm going to use copy-paste now. Here we go. Mid-Eastern University is a notable private college that advertises itself as a midway between Maine and Miami. Their mascot is the Spectres. They are not known for their sports programs as much as their education. Their legal and language departments are their pride and joy, though they also have fairly extensive computer science and robotics programs. Along with other prestigious schools that haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League schools, some refer to it as a Little Ivy. The college has embraced this, calling their newspaper the Herald, which is a combination of Hedera, the scientific name for Ivy, and Herald. Oh. Their website boasts that they have a historical technology museum on campus, including a still functioning computer from the 1960s that takes up a full room. They also have a printing press that they use to print one special year end issue of the Herald each year. Wow. That's an awful printing press. They can only do one single book. One single piece of paper once a year. Okay, so that has a bunch of information that we could go down. We should save that though. Let's go to Portland. Okay, Portland doesn't exist. Portland doesn't exist. Whoever's at Portland, I'm sorry, you don't exist anymore. Mid-Eastern. Okay, so that's interesting. So Ruby Spratt studied here. studied here. Mascot is mascots are the specters. Is that how you would write that sentence? That sentence feels so awkward to write. Mascots are the specters? Isn't a mascot a single thing? The mascot is the specters? Anyways, what about Maine? Mama Miami. No. The specters. Not known for the sports programs as much as their education. The legal and language departments are their pride and joy. Oh. Legal and language depths are their pride and joy. And this makes sense why she came from here. Because it was good. The Hedera. We can actually probably read this. Oh, nice. Good. We have a periodical. Huh. School newsletter is called the Herald. The Herald is the school newspaper of the Midwestern University. Placeholder. After a bit of research, you discover his name is a combination of Hedera and Herald. Yep, and now it's available in a thing. Some refer to it as a Little Ivy. Little Ivy. You know what? I can probably search for Ruby Sprat there. I know this is not necessary, but like, I'm kind of curious about this. Oops. Considered to be a Little Ivy school. AKA shit, but better than the rest. So, we can go here and search for Ruby Sprat, which is interesting. I don't know why you would, but why not? Ruby Sprat graduated top of her class from the Mid-Eastern's Legal College. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious. I need to also write this down too, where before I did not write where I found these bits of information. So, if it's linked in the page, I find it there, but otherwise, I'll do like a information below found on the Herald periodical, because sometimes I need to I need to revisit these pieces of info. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious, with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. Oh. This didn't go over well with the predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. Oh. The editor of the Herald at the time said Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Midwestern with a full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. It felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of an undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished that neither of those events had transpired. It was a passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty. That's an interesting way of looking at poverty. This sentence is the type of sentence that you would see written by somebody who doesn't understand what poverty is, which I think is so fitting. Again, this game is so good in its writing because it is perfectly able to get into the mindset of the characters that it creates in this fictional universe, right? A school that is predominantly middle to upper class. And presumably the editor of this paper is also that as well, looks at poverty as and tries to say that it's more of a mindset thing, it's more of a belief thing, as if it's not something that's a systemic sort of like problem that can happen to you as the result of many other systemic issues. Like, that is a sentence that is so rich in character that you can't mistake it for anything but a specific mindset. And the game's writing is all of this. That's a fantastic sentence. Wow. But unfortunately, judging by the silence, they remain unconverted. Wow, that's good. Good shit. Fellow working class enjoyer, valedictorian speech was controversial because it was a poor talking to the rich, focusing on wealth inequality, which makes sense why she wanted to work with the Roottrees on this, because the Clancy Trust has this whole idea of moving wealth into people who probably should get the wealth, right? I like this. It's good. Printing press. Okay, well, that's all we get here. The Spectres, that's on midway between Maine and Miami. Little Ivy, Hedera. Little Ivy. Okay, that's good. Yeah, print Hedera. I wonder, where did Chris Rafferty go to school? Because we know that Chris is still a student. Where did he go to school? So we got all this. We go back to Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship. Clancy Trust. I didn't search that yet. That page probably has some more information about how it changed. Here we go. The Clancy Trust is the Roottrees Company's unusual legal arrangement. If you know, you know. For most of their major financial decisions. As a recap, the entire family earns inheritance directly from the profits of the candy company, as well as the sister clothing company, Roots with a period, which, by the way, was started by Carl from his own funds and was only later inducted into the family. So actually, Carl was forced to give away all of his money. This means that nearly every Roottrees can potentially have a say in the company's high-level operations. Historically, this has caused the family to be slow to approve any major expenditures that could dig significantly into the profits. After the release of 6 pieces by Sam Madsen, the Clancy Trust came under heavy scrutiny. Sam, her children, and her grandchildren should have all been covered under the trust, according to the wording revealed during an internal family conflict between Ron and Robbie Roottrees. So true. It seems that those who wrote the trust, Clancy Edward Roottrees, at the direction of Elias Roottrees, purposely deceived the rest of the family about the exact details of how it worked in an attempt to keep Sam and her father Edward Clancy, his own twin brother, in comparative poverty. Because the rest of the family made money hand over fist, they had very little motivation to question their understanding. And that's an interesting mindset to see this through. That's an interesting lens to see this through, because even despite, let's say, Carolyn Morden's attempts at trying to use her power for the better, in a way, again, right? You know, Lauren too, all these other people, they were just simply blind to her because, again, when you have all that power, it basically paralyzes you and makes you unable, and sort of it rips the desire away from you to want to change things, because the status quo, which is to say the way that things are, for better and for worse, and in this case was for the worse, is so good to you that why would you ever want to change it and make it worse for you too? It's a fascinating way of looking at that, and I think it's the appropriate lens to look at this, right? Because that ultimately is sort of the root of their problems. It's already good as it is, so why do we change anything? Hell, Carolyn Morden, in trying to plead towards Carl, is like, let's not let these issues continue onwards when trying to get a sponsor for Stephanie Landon. It's like these people are apathetic about the things that their family have been doing because of all this power. And in a way, Clark he didn't even want to be president. Why would he want to be president? Why would he want all this responsibility? It's only after he's given the responsibility that all of a sudden he sides with Sam, right? But I'm sure there was this period between the two, because the book came out before then, that Clark probably would have been like, oh god, hopefully I'm not chosen, and so I can hide away from it all, and so I can simply benefit from it. Just like Ron, just like Robert, just like Penelope, just like Jack, just like Christina, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Like, very apathetic family. Very pathetic family. Pathetic family. Sam's book revealed this to the public, and it did not go over well. Clark took over the company, and his most celebrated move was his first official one. He ensured Sam's family would get their share. To help facilitate this, the inheritance aspect of the trust is now under the control of a third party. Ruby Legal Enterprises, which is a major new enterprise that we know is a part of the lawyer team. But what happened to Clancy Edwards' team, or the internal one? It ensures that the financial motivations of the Roottrees family members will not interfere with the investigations into potential new Roottrees. According to Clark's letter, however, some family members are still doing their best to slow the investigation by refusing to answer these questions. The letter that he gave us. Right. This is done. So, you don't recognize her name. Second in command. We don't really care about that. We have Ruby Legal Enterprises. Yep, Family and Inheritance. Yep. 6 pieces by Madsen. So let's do 6 pieces. Oh yeah. The Expose by Samantha Madsen. By Samantha Roottreemania, which started the Roottreemania. What a great type of storyline. Because this is now viewing the family from an outside lens and knowing all the problems and dissecting and sort of psychoanalyzing a bunch of dead people. This is great. By Sam Madsen, was released in early 1999 and perhaps assisted by the still relatively recent plane crash, shot to the top of the charts. Reviews were mixed, and its time on the bestsellers list was limited to only 2 months. Most reviewers agreed that the core of the book, about Samantha's fathers and the struggles they faced, was compelling, and that the takedown of the hypocrisy of Elias Roottree was deserved. However, many took umbrage with the timing of the release and the tone of the book, which seemed vindictive. That's interesting. This feels like the reviews were poisoned by the company in some way. Because why would you as a reviewer look at it and say, oh, it's vindictive and simply leave it at that, right? I feel like any good reviewer would recognize the vindictive nature of something, but then seek not to see that as the root of it all, but see it only as a symptom of a larger cause that ultimately you have to somehow discern from the book. I feel like that would make a good book review. Otherwise, what you're just left with is just a listing of, similar to a WebMD page where it's just a bunch of symptoms, and the reader has to figure out what does that even mean, if they even pay attention and take notice of it at all. Fascinating. This just feels like a very weird thing to say. Reviews probably poisoned, because what shit book reviewer leaves their review taking the tone of the book, vindictive, as the end, as the main takeaway, instead of the cause of such a feeling? Yeah. The fallout from the book led to the Roottrees company scrambling to release a statement, and due to a conflict of leadership, famously released multiple conflicting official statements over 3 days. This confusing move was referenced in popular culture due to a late-night sketch about indecisionitis. Wow. But more traditional analysts have been calling it the Roottree Rift. A few months later, due to Roottreemania, the book re-entered the charts and sold even better than the first time, and now it's kind of dying down. So now we do... I kind of want to see a bunch of things here. Sam Madsen. Does she show up on her own? No. What's compelling in the takedown of Elias Roottree? Here we go. I want to get all these terms out of the way. Elias and Gwyneth Roottree were never really celebrities. If you know, you know. But the general public's perception of them as classic faces associated with the Roottree Candy Company had always been in somewhat high regards. This was Elias's intention as a family man with his family brand. Never celebrities. But Elias sought to maintain that family image, that outwardly family image, and of being a family man. I fucking hate that term, by the way, family man. Such a vague term to mean nothing, you know? Because what is a family man but a father who simply cares about all their children just as their own, and simply loves them as they are, no matter who they are? Like that's all there really is to being a family man. And yet it's the way that the word is typically used, and thus I think the meaning of the word itself that it's been warped into, that makes me feel like it's just a marketing term, and thus a concealment and a camouflage and sort of a mask that is worn by those who don't have any real call to be a family man, who just happen to have kids because they nutted in someone. Like, to them, having kids is the act of nutting into someone, not necessarily because of the child and who they are and, like, wanting to raise a child and actually take care of them properly and actually, like, you know, love their child, you know? To them, it starts and ends right at the moment that they nut. That's what Elias strikes me as. And again, using his kids as presidents to carry on the tradition, and even knowing that he had an outburst of like, how come none of his kids wants to be the president of the company, for instance. It really strikes me as somebody who's so callous enough to just see his children as chess pieces to be used on the game board. Since 6 pieces, the candy company has placed much less of an emphasis on Elias as a historical brand-connected figure. But there have also been those who argue that it was his right to decide how to split the inheritance, and that he did nothing wrong. That's pretty nuts. This led to some heated television exchanges and countless op-eds. You know what? There is some level of truth to that, in the sense of like, everyone's allowed to think what they think. However, there's also the other flip side of the coin of like, you're allowed to be hateful and, you know, an awful person to your child because they're gay, and the world can hate you for that because that's not the right thing to do, regardless of the fact that it's absolutely within your right. I'm glad Elias is dead. The company, since the 6 pieces expose, the company has tried to move away from Elias as a brand image of sorts. Some agree with Elias's move, stating that it's within his right. But I also have the right to hate him. So. The first Anderson Maple Farm only used to be a popular tourist attraction during the summer months when it had special tours. However, it has since seen an explosion of off-season business as some religious and political groups decided to visit to show some support for Elias and Gwyneth's traditional values and financial rights. Oh god. This rise in support was in turn followed by pickets from gay rights activists when some particularly inflammatory organizations made their pilgrimages. Yes! Down with Five Guys. If you don't know the Five Guys thing, just search up Five Guys and gay people. Wait, is it Five Guys or is it Church of Chicken? Wait, just make sure I'm like flaming the right company. Well, all things are Five Guys, gay people. Okay, well the first result is a Jubilee video. 5 gay men versus 1 secret straight guy. So probably not that. But there was one fast food chain that like really does not like gay people. Amongst all this conflict, the farm is since shut down, seemingly indefinitely. The website says check back later, but with no date listed. The quotes from Bess Williams' books appear to have been taken down. Bess Williams. Oh yeah, Bess Williams. I forgot about the books. So we have 6 pieces. Elias's intention, the Roottrees Candy Company. Go back. We have the Elias thing. This is a lot. This is a lot to go through. I think I'll be done in like half an hour, because I am feeling kind of tired today anyways, but... And, you know, it's going to be short streams until we get back into the full swing of things starting tomorrow. But, yeah, this is a fascinating take on this storyline. Like, we hadn't even gotten to the point where we're identifying any new names. We're just witnessing the fallout of realizing that this family's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, really, really messed up and evil in many different ways, you know? We're just witnessing the reality that this family is falling apart at the seams. And we haven't even gotten to the sex yet. There is so much sex. Holy shit! Look at this sex! First affair. Final affair. This... If your final affair is not called the second affair, you know that there's been a lot of affairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sex. 5 sex. This is 1 sex. This is 1 sex. Wow. Oh, there's so much sex. Oh, the sex was so good that this person split up with the other person. You know what? I need fresh eyes to look at this. There's no way I can figure out the 5 sexes, right? Like, it's impossible. If you get the 5 pieces, this is a 5-sex timeline. I think we call it. This game is good. I'm a bit tired today. We'll come back tomorrow. And we'll just keep on going until we figure out who had sex with who. I'm pretty sure anybody with a new photo is probably going to be a part of this, right? Because it doesn't make sense otherwise, except for maybe Clark, because he probably has a company president photo. But I'm thinking Chris Rafferty is going to be a major part of this whole thing here, and I think it's going to be sad to see what happens to Louisa, because I really hope nothing happens to Louisa. Saying that he seemed to really like her, but Zacharia for sure is going to be one of the infidelity people, and we're just going to see a huge explosion in the number of different complex situations. What's interesting too is that because it deals with now the hidden side of things, and because it seems like there's red herring names based on what the game told us, and look at this, not only that, you must match the first name with the last name, it's going to be a much more intense experience to go down this information tree to deduce all that we need to know to figure out what's going on. And I think that's a very good thing for this game to do, because I think that's where the game shines as a whole, and I'm hoping that the writing keeps up with it, because at least so far the writing is fantastic. It's not just the fact that like it's like progressive style writing, right, with like a progressive moral set. It's specifically in the way that it absolutely captures these various characters, right? Even if you don't believe in any of this stuff, which I don't know how you don't believe in the fact that people should be allowed to be who they are, but even if you don't believe in it, I think you can still find enjoyment from the way that this game tackles writing so accurately about these mindsets so as to make you feel like it comes from a real person who has this character, this personality, this belief system, right? It's really, really good in that regard. But I realized, just after figuring out EC and John Miller, I don't think I can continue. Oh, so I see. So the spouse is named John Miller, not Miller John, but his name was correct. Fuck you, game. Fuck you. We're gonna leave this. This is a great game. I'm very glad that we kept going with this game. I'm very glad that we finished the first half. I'm excited to see this, and even just in terms of the number, right? I imagine with the amount of density here, and especially with these boxes too, with the amount of density that's present within all of these pieces, that the level of like complex understanding and reading of the lines, and sort of understanding all these correlated pieces of information, and even figuring out what the correlations are, is going to be just as complex as some of the most complex pieces of this main tree, but across the entire thing. I'm very excited about this. But that's it for the Roottrees Are Dead. I'm way too tired to deal with this, so we'll save it for next time.